Hello you muddy glasses of juice. If you've been on the internet lately, you've probably seen the memes. Every time you ask an AI to write a poem about a depressed toaster, a polar bear loses its home and a lake in Arizona dries up. But before you start feeling guilty for asking AI to help with your homework, let's actually look at the math, because while AI does use resources, the way people talk about it is, well, mostly room temperature yogurt logic. So let's talk about the water. AI consumes billions of gallons. It sounds like AI is taking water, turning it into some kind of AI juice and throwing it away. Or worse, that it's getting contaminated like some kind of radioactive waste. But the reality looks completely different. AI data centers use water for cooling, not for drinking. Think of it like the radiator in your car. So some centers use evaporative cooling. They spray water onto hot pipes to let it evaporate and carry the heat away. Yes, the water disappears into the air, but it's literally just steam. It goes back into the atmosphere and eventually rains back down. It's not gone from the planet, it's just moving. Well, build that in Phoenix, Arizona, and that water surely does not run back onto Phoenix. So the local ecosystems there, local rivers and local farmers don't get it back. And this is obviously an issue. Direct to chip cooling, on the other hand, is the fastest growing system in the industry right now. Those use closed loops, therefore water won't get lost and are way more effective. They directly cool the CPUs and GPUs, which produce most of the heat. While they are more complex to build and cost more initially, they don't evaporate the water of entire cities. There are also other approaches which again come up with their own up and downsides, but I'm not here to hold a lecture that just makes you fall asleep quicker than any good night story. Now, is the water completely untouched? No, but just know that for any of these approaches, the water is not more poisonous than your AC water and is always under heavy monitoring. It's just water doing a very boring job of being cold. If you're mad about water usage, wait until you hear how much it takes to grow a single almond or keep a golf course green in the middle of the desert. And while we're on the subject of water, the person screaming about AI water usage is probably wearing a pair of jeans that took up to 10,000 liters of water to make. That's roughly the same water cost as 10,000 to 20,000 AI queries. Yeah, that's one single jeans. But here's where it gets even worse. Jeans water passes through textile dyeing factories that dump mercury, lead, chromium and carcinogenic dyes directly into rivers. The fashion industry is responsible for 20% of global industrial wastewater. Rivers downstream of those factories in Bangladesh and Indonesia run in literal colors. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, AI evaporates water in Arizona and the fashion industry poisons whole rivers in Asia, but I'm sure we can somehow find a way to also blame AI for that, right? But the energy AI uses 10 times more power than a Google search. Okay, that's actually true. A ChatGPT query uses about 0.3 watt hours, which sounds terrifying until you realize that's only enough to keep an LED light bulb on for only 2 minutes. Now here is where it gets interesting. Data centers as a whole use about 1.5% of global electricity, and that number is on its way to 3% by 2030. But that covers everything. Every YouTube video like this one, every TikTok rabbit hole, all of it runs through those same giant warehouses in Virginia and Arizona. So singling out AI is like blaming the toaster for your $500 electricity bill while your AC is set to 60 degrees with the windows open. But what if I told you that the real issue isn't how much energy we use, but rather where is it coming from? If an AI is powered by a coal plant, yeah, that's bad. But if it's powered by nuclear, solar or wind, then it's essentially almost carbon neutral. In fact, those big tech companies are the largest corporate buyers of green energy on the planet right now. But buying green energy on paper and actually running on green energy are two very different things. You see, right now utilities are building brand new gas plants specifically to keep AI data centers online. So no, we are not there yet, but if the industry keeps moving towards a clean grid, the polar bears soon will barely even notice AI. The water in Arizona though, that's a different conversation. And here's a fun fact to ruin your day. Most of the energy used by data centers isn't even for AI or YouTube. It's for servers that are just sitting there doing almost nothing. The average server runs at around 12 and 18% of its capacity, but it still draws around 70% of its maximum power. Whether it's crunching the world's most complex AI model or just blinking at you like a confused Labrador. As of right now, there are an estimated 10 million servers worldwide that are fully powered on and completely idle. Burning enough electricity to power a a small country waiting for a workload that never comes. Think of it like a restaurant that keeps 200 ovens preheated all night just in case someone orders a pizza. It's not the pizza that's the problem, it's the 199 empty ovens that nobody's turning off. And before you say, well, why don't you just turn it off? It's because companies over provision. They build for their worst case peak traffic day. No, not this traffic, I mean this one here. Because nobody wants to be the engineer who turned off the wrong servers at the wrong moment. So yeah, AI uses energy, but right now AI is actually helping fix this by optimizing server workloads, predicting demand and turning off the ovens nobody's using, which is either a great argument for AI or just a very embarrassing fact against the people who left them on in the first place. In places like Finland, they're even connecting data centers to the city's heating system because computers get hot, and instead of just blowing that heat into the sky, they pump it into local homes and even fish farms. I mean, how genius is that? So is AI bad for the environment? It's a tool like a car or a fridge. If we use clean energy and smart cooling, the impact is minimal. Stay skeptical, and the next time someone tells you AI is boiling the oceans, ask them if they know how much water it took to create their outfit, because if we are going to be environmental warriors, let's at least aim at the right targets. Bye.